guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to do a book haul. So from the end of June on through what is now the middle of August, I have acquired a few books and I wanted to tell you about all of those books. I'm going to be upfront and say I only bought, personally, one of these. The rest I was sent by publishers or in subscription boxes, so that is your warning up front. Also, all but two of these are from Penguin in some way, whether they sent it to me or it came in a subscription box, so Penguin's really been outfitting me in terms of books for the past month or so. So I thought I would split today into finished copies of books and arcs because I have a whole ton of arcs to talk about, and let's just get started. The only book on this list that I personally purchased was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzi Lee. I know you guys have heard me talk about this nonstop for the past couple of months, but I have to talk about it because this is a haul and I need to haul it. This is actually not the only copy of Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue that I got. I also received a copy from Owlcrate with an Owlcrate exclusive cover in the July box, but that copy of Gentleman's Guide has been sent off to my girlfriend Janelle so that she can read the book too. The reason I bought this actually was because I went to an author event where I met Mackenzi Lee here in Utah, so I got this, but I also got a couple of swaggish items that I'll show you. So I got a Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue bookmark, which also includes a little tour info on the back. This is super cute and I used this bookmark when I was reading the book. And while at the signing I also got two pins that look like this. They say Abso-Bloody-Lutely and I ship Monty and Percy. They match the cover of the book and they're super adorable. Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue takes place in the 1700s. Monty has been raised with very specific expectations on his shoulders and he's basically been disappointing his father his entire life. His father, by the way, is an abusive ass, so but he goes on a grand tour of Europe, which is a thing that lasts about a year, and he's gonna go all around Europe with his best friend Percy and with his sister Felicity, at least for a little bit. But once they get underway, Monty makes a minor mistake that sends them on a fantastical journey that is wildly off course, and all the while he's trying to keep his secret hidden love on Percy a secret. It's a fabulous male-male romance. I have talked about it a ton. It is hilarious and fun. I'm really glad that this is the only book that I actually purchased myself this month. From here on out, everything was sent to me. So let's just talk about the first thing that I also have here, and that is a children's book. It is She Persisted, written by Chelsea Clinton and illustrated by Alexandra Boiger. Penguin sent this to me in a whole promotional box talking about She Persisted, which just includes stories of 13 American women who changed the world. It's a really adorable little book that I was flipping through. The art's really nice. This came with a few other things that I either have put away or I've given to people because in the box it encouraged you to give the stuff to other women in your life that you admire. So it came with a couple of t-shirts that said She Persisted. I kept one, I gave one to my sister. There was a rubber bracelet that said She Persisted, which I gave to my mom. It also included this really cute tote bag that says She Persisted on one side and then She Persisted, So Should You, and I've definitely been using this. I thought this was I love when people include tote bags in promotional boxes. They're the most useful thing that comes in those. But all of that came from Penguin. It was a super sweet surprise box and I absolutely loved everything that came inside. Penguin also later emailed me asking if I would be interested in a few of their new releases, and I asked if they would send me these three. So first of all, we have a nonfiction book, and that is This Is Really Happening, True Stories by Erin Chack. Erin is a senior writer at BuzzFeed, and this is just a collection of stories. I thought it would be really fun and interesting. Plus, look how cute this cover is. I think it's so sweet. Anyway, they sent this along and I'm really excited to read it. You guys know I like memoir type books. That's basically the only nonfiction I read. The next book I have is Akata Witch, and this is by Nnedi Okorafor. This book is about a girl named Sunny who lives in Nigeria, and she's albino. She's never really felt like she fits in, and then she finds out it's because she has some latent magical abilities. She winds up going to kind of a magical school, and there's also a really bad guy that her and her friends are going to have to fight even though he's much more powerful than they are. I have heard absolutely incredible things about this book, about the atmosphere and the writing, and I've really wanted to read something by Nnedi Okorafor because I've heard so much about her, especially on BookTube lately. And this is another one that is just a gorgeous cover. There are a few different covers of Akata Witch that I was flipping through. This is one of my personal favorites, but seriously, just go look through some of the covers for this book because they're all really fantastic. And the third book I asked for Penguin to send along to me is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and that is Perfect 10 by Elle Phillips. Perfect 10 is a YA contemporary about a guy named Sam. He's gay, and a couple of years ago he broke up with the only other eligible gay guy in town. When his best friend Meg, who is an ex-Catholic turned Wiccan, recommends casting a love spell, Sam reluctantly agrees. Then, all of a sudden, 3 very attractive and 3 very eligible guys show up in town, all after Sam, and it turns out his ex-boyfriend isn't quite as out of the picture as Sam thought. Basically, the spell that they cast was that Sam chose 10 traits that he thinks would make up a perfect boyfriend, and they burned that list, so it's got like a little hint of practical magic in there. At least that's what it reminded me of when I read the description, but this is supposed to be sort of funny and just a good, sweet love story, and I've been reading a lot more of those lately. The final finished copy I want to talk about came in the most recent Owlcrate, that is the August Owlcrate box, so if you don't want to know what it is, look away. I know it just came within the last week, so here's your warning. But that book is The Hearts We Sold, and this is by Emily Lloyd-Jones. This is an Owlcrate exclusive cover because that is what Owlcrate has been doing this year. This book is about a girl named Dee who has a terrible home life, and she's also about to be kicked out of her boarding school, which is the only place she's ever felt at home. But in this particular world, demons exist, and you can trade a body part for a deal with a demon, so Dee trades her heart. Demon deals are just kind of up my alley, a little bit because of Supernatural, and, you know, that's a show I like. But also, I've always had kind of an interest in demon deals and in demons in general. I find those kinds of stories really fascinating, so I'm hoping that this is another one I can add to the stack of stories about demon deals and demons in general that I can really get behind. Okay, time to talk about the arcs. I have a lot. Let's start with the only one I've actually read thus far, and that is Autobiography by Christina Lauren. Simon and Schuster were so kind to ask if they could send this along. I gladly accepted, and now it's in my hands, and I have read it. Look at the sticky tabs. This book is about a kid named Tanner who has grown up in California with his family, but his family has just relocated back to Utah. Tanner is bisexual, and he was totally out back in California, but now that he's moved back to Provo, he's kind of gone back into the closet. And then in his final semester of high school, he decides to take a class called the Seminar, in which you are supposed to write a book in one semester. But there is a kid in this class named Sebastian. He is a previous prodigy of this class who's going to have his book published soon. Now he's the mentor of the Seminar, and Tanner is falling for him despite the fact that Sebastian is Mormon. So I wrote kind of a gushy personal review of this book that I will leave linked down in the description below on Goodreads because I connected to this book incredibly deeply. I grew up in Utah, I'm hella gay, and I did grow up Mormon, and so there was so much of the story that I related to. I have never read any book before that quite got what it meant to be Mormon, what it meant to grow up Mormon, and what it meant to grow up in Utah. This book comes out next month on September 12th, and I highly encourage you to go and pick it up. It's a really good romance, but it's also an incredibly good breakdown of religion and sexuality and family. There's a lot of focus on communication, and there's just a lot of really good stuff here, so yeah, keep an eye out. It's coming out in less than a month. So the first arc that I want to talk about came completely out of the blue. I was so excited to open this package. It is A Line in the Dark by Malinda Lo. This book comes out on October 17th, and I have been so highly anticipating this release. This book is about a girl named Jess Wong, and there is this girl Angie who is her best friend, but Jess also clearly has feelings for Angie that everyone but Angie can see. And then Angie starts to fall for a girl from a nearby boarding school named Margot. As Angie and Jess get pulled deeper and deeper into Margot's circle and this boarding school, a lot of secrets start to emerge. It sounds like it's going to be really creepy, a psychological thriller full of so many queer characters. Plus, this cover is beautiful. I haven't been able to stop looking at this cover since it was released. I just have such high hopes for this book, and I'm going to be reading it very, very soon. I promise. The last 5 books I have to talk about all came in one big box set from Penguin. This is the Penguin Teen Game Changers box set that, again, just got sent along to my house. Sometimes you end up on a reviewer's list and you just get sent boxes, and I got a whole lot from Penguin. That's why there's so much from Penguin this month. But this box set includes 5 different releases that are upcoming for Penguin Teen. They are all arcs, and they are all supposed to be game changers in their given genres. I think we're gonna go through them in order. So first up we have Warcross, and I will pull it out of its little thing. Warcross is by Marie Lu, and this is a book that's going to be released on September 12th. What is so glorious about Warcross is that it sounds like everything I wanted Ready Player One to be, and then it wasn't so much. So Warcross is an online game, basically, some kind of virtual reality game, and there is this hacker named Emika Chen, and she basically is a bounty hunter within the game, so she tracks down people who are illegally betting. Things happen, somehow Emika becomes famous, and she gets hired by the game's creator to get to the bottom of a big security issue within the game. So many people have actually already read early copies of this book, and the hype is so intense. Everyone has been loving this. I really, really hope that it's everything I wanted Ready Player One to be, and then it wasn't, because it sounds like it could make my dreams come true. The next book I have is Jane Unlimited, and this is a book by Kristin Cashore. Kristin Cashore is an author I love. She wrote the Graceling Realm trilogy, which is one of my favorite series of books, like, ever. The description for this book is kind of difficult to explain. From what I understand, it's super genre bending. It's about a girl named Jane whose guardian aunt dies, and she gets an invitation to this old mansion where she is faced with like 5 choices for where her life could go from there. I'm pretty sure she kind of lives those 5 different choices. That's why it's genre bending. There just keeps being all of these different options. Like I said, this is incredibly difficult to explain, and a whole lot of people who have read the book have done it better. I have no doubt I'm going to love it because Kristin Cashore crafts beautiful stories, and I've actually been like really pulling hard for getting an arc of this, so when it arrived in the mail, I kind of died a little bit. Oh, and this book comes out on September 19th. Next up, I have one that I'm sure so many of you have heard of, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House, and this is by Stephanie Perkins. This is sadly only a partial advanced reading copy. I think it's missing about 100 pages of the final book, which is disappointing. So it's weird that Stephanie Perkins wrote this book because it's basically like a horror slasher book, and that's about as far from Anna and the French Kiss as I think you could get. That's basically all I know about There's Someone Inside Your House. It's a slasher story written by a lady who's written some very famous contemporary love stories, and that alone makes me pretty interested. And if you want to get your hands on this book, it comes out on September 26th. Next up, we have Things I'm Seeing Without You, and this is by Peter Bognanni. This comes out on October 3rd, and it is a contemporary, from what I can tell, dealing with grief and with suicide. It's about a girl named Tess who had this boy named Jonah who she really, really liked, and then he committed suicide, and after Tess drops out of high school, she's trying to find ways to process her grief, and she throws herself into her father's funeral business. It's supposed to be kind of heartbreaking, but also hopeful and a little bit funny, so that is Things I'm Seeing Without You, which is the only book from the set that I had not heard of before I received this big ol' box. The last book that came in the Game Changers box, if you guys watched my unboxing on my Instagram story, you know how thrilled I was about this, and if you're not following me on Instagram, go do that. I posted some great pictures, in my personal opinion, but it is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. This comes out on October 10th, and it is a Snow White retelling. It's supposed to have a lot of darkness in it. The main character is a girl named Ji Feng. She's destined to become the Empress, but only if she embraces the darkness within her. I have been hearing about this book for probably over a year now. It was announced a long time ago, and I've just been watching it every step of the way as it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and more people keep being excited about it. It is getting incredibly good early reviews, and I'm sure I will only be adding to that stack once I actually get around to reading it, which should be soon because, like I said, one of my most anticipated releases of the year, this was like the most lovely box to receive. I don't know if I can convey to you how excited I've been. Even after I unboxed it, I just keep looking at the box and being like, look at them all. So that is it. Those are all of the books that I have acquired in the last month and a half or so. What do you think about the books that have come into my possession? As far as the ones I haven't read yet, which ones should I prioritize over some others? Please let me know in the comments below. Have you read any of the arcs early? What do you think about them? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!